Joan Allen, and James Marsden, Tim's lover.
I love him.
I will die on that hill.
I would have chosen him.
Yep. Yep. I mean, again, the night's been dog shit for beer, so this is just better than...
Yeah, it's going to work.
Been better, so...
Stand by, going to air.
Stand by, Phil.
5,
Stand by music.
4,
Stand by announce.
3, 2, 1.
And fade up.
All aboard! And a name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back.
Don't act like you're not impressed.
Turn to page 394.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over the mountain?
That is so fetch.
Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
The power of the sun in the palm of my hand.
Where's my super suit?
It ain't Fat Lard. Come get some dinner.
Well,
I am not drinking any f***ing Merlot.
And I'm gonna try to forget the fact that you're a girl. But dogs can look up.
Oh, durga.
you tell me what I saw this woman?
This is the Polar Express.
All right, well, welcome, everyone, to a brand new episode of 20 Years, 4 Beers. We are a podcast dedicated to rewatching movies from at least 2 decades ago, while simultaneously enjoying a minimum of 4 modern beers. My name is Steve, and this is my big brother,
Tim.
and we are coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota. We have just watched and recorded our episode on Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, and as usual, we sit together afterwards to discuss another film over another beer. So we refer to these episodes as our happy hour episodes.
Hey, you guys. Happy hour is from 4 to 6.
On this happy hour, we are covering a movie that I was required to cover. And what is probably... No, I almost said this. It's kind of our first true romance movie. I mean, we did Love Actually, but that's like not...
There's
like,
no comedy.
This is like a... This is a true sort of like...
romance.
Yeah. We will be discussing The Notebook, as men of our age do.
Top 5 side ones, track ones.
We begin our episodes with our first segment, High Fidelity.
Now, the making of a good compilation tape is a very subtle art.
This is where we take a common theme from our subject film and each pick our top 5 choices within that subject. This is High Fidelity.
Now get your patchouli stick out of my store! Move it, lard ass!
All right, well, so Rachel McAdams has been in 2 of our first 4 films of the year so far. So it got us/Tim thinking, what other actors or actresses had multiple standout films or performances in the same year? So in this High Fidelity, we are going to be offering up our top 5 twofers or more of all time. My number 5, I was surprised actually as I was going through this.
Right?
I went with all but 1 had 3.
Oh,
Yeah, I was like, okay.
very curious.
One of which I forgot. But anyway, my number 5 is John C. Reilly in 2002. As with a couple others on this list, it's hard to argue with a guy who had major roles in 3 Best Picture nominees in the same year, Gangs of New York, The Hours, and the eventual winner in Chicago. And was nominated for an Oscar as supporting actor in Chicago. So he was not some sub character. So again,
that's a good one.
there's there are other ones on this. Like I have honorable mentions on this too, but I was like, I kind of got to go with John C. Reilly on this one.
That's a good one. That was an honorable mention for me. It's like, oh,
it is now. Is it on your list? Can I see it?
No, you cannot.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It's in a previous iteration
I
version of
deleted
it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Google Drive.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, but largely I put my assessment through the lens of like, if I haven't seen them in that movie,
Oh, fair.
and I have not seen Hours.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right. Much like you might.
Oh, then I know you won't.
You
I know
probably
you
have
and I
one.
will not have the same number 1 then.
Yes.
Just I know that's
Because
not
I wanted to, and I'm like, no, I haven't seen another one from her.
Oh, no. Then no.
Ooh.
Mine's Man at number 1.
Oh, we'll
so
talk
here we
through
go.
For me, number 5, actually, we'll be talking about later this year. Jamie Foxx
Yep.
in 2004 with Collateral and Ray.
Yep.
And I remember the time, like, he was a well-known actor, but this type of twofer was like the first time I can honestly remember, like, being like, oh shit, this guy's really good.
Yeah.
And kills in Collateral, no
Totally.
pun intended. And is great in Ray. So we'll talk later in the year, but that was number 5 for me.
All right. So my number 4 is the last on my list that are based on kind of like my top 3 are based on performances. You know what I mean? Kind of a thing.
Yep.
And these good performances in these, but in 1994, Jim Carrey released 3 of the funniest movies of all time. And Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura, and The Mask all in the same year is pretty damn impressive. So I have Jim Carrey from 1994.
Nice. That's really good. Yeah. We've talked about it before.
We've talked about him before.
Yeah. Like crazy. Like this isn't like, oh, I'm a well-established person. Like you came on the scene and
He
those
also
are your
had
first
2
2 movies.
this year. Yeah, I like Lemony Snicket, by the way, and Series of Unfortunate Events, and he was in Eternal Sunshine.
That's true. That's another one. Number 4 for me was Nicole Kidman in 2001.
Yep.
I waxed poetic long enough about my love of Moulin Rouge and how much I actually don't like her as an actress pretty much in everything
Can't
else.
stand her.
But
Famous
she had,
for saying if she were in the road, I wouldn't slow down.
like, I'm like, really, AMC? You're going to have her be your spokesperson? She might be a deterrent. But
That's all right.
Moulin Rouge for me. And then I still love what she did in The Others.
Dude, The Others is outstanding.
It's incredible. That movie from a, like, not a twist standpoint, which is kind of a twist, but also like, oh my
it's
God.
a twist.
The
It's a
atmospheric,
forgotten twist.
and it's
of a movie.
fantastic.
Yep.
So I remember that. That was the first time I'm like, okay, yeah, she's there. Okay, she's good.
She's talented, for sure.
That was for me number 4.
My number 3 is Jamie Foxx.
Nice.
Yeah, 2 films, 2 Oscar nominations. Hard to argue with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So you said it earlier. Jamie Foxx in 04.
Number 3 for me was Ryan Gosling in 2011.
With,
Crazy Stupid Love
and Drive.
Yep. Which I freaking love.
Yeah, I got to
Drive.
rewatch it. Yeah,
It's so awesome.
Yeah, the movie is his performance is good. It's just not. He's just standing there most
But
of the time.
compared to
he's
like him coming out of nowhere and Crazy Stupid Love, like, oh, you are a sexy MFer.
Mm-hmm.
And then Drive, like a combo to me was fantastic. So
Sure.
I still love those performances.
Did you stick with just twofers?
No.
Okay, good. Because I mean, I could technically have picked all of these as 2 and just picked their 2 films.
But again, it was, oh, if I haven't seen the third,
fair
they're not
point.
included. So yeah.
My number 2 is Scarlett Johansson
That's-
in 2019. And I assume that was going to be,
Yep.
Again, 2 Oscar nominations. I think she should have won for Marriage Story,
Sure.
which you haven't seen.
Nope.
Obviously, Jojo Rabbit's awesome. I'll let you kind of wax poetic on it. But then I kind of was like, and Avengers. Like, I was like, what a year, man. And
That's
Avengers
true.
Endgame.
I didn't think about that. It's Endgame. Yeah. No, I actually, before this recording, I almost was going to watch Marriage Story
Yeah, do it, man.
just so I could be like, oh, now I see what we're talking about.
It's Noah Baumbach. He wrote Barbie. He's
I-
still good.
But he wrote Squid and the Whale, and that sucks. But
Yeah, well, I gotta watch Wes Anderson later this year.
True.
A movie that I can't stand.
all right, I'll give you that. That's good. Yeah. But no, Scarlett Johansson and Jojo Rabbit.
Yep.
I think that should have won Best Picture. It was so incredible. But number 2 for me is Brad Pitt
Yeah.
in 1995.
Yep.
Funny you mentioned the time manipulation.
Yeah, I was like,
Didn't even think about that.
I'm
From
sitting
that.
here thinking
But
that. You didn't think of 12 Monkeys then?
7 and 12 Monkeys.
God.
What?
It's a hell of a
Just
twofer.
incredible, and I love that year for him. So yeah, that was my number 2. What you got?
My number 1 is
What is
out of
that?
left field. I guarantee you, because you didn't even know it and you didn't even look at it. 1967. Sidney Poitier had 3 all-time great films, really. He had Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, To Sir with Love, and the eventual Best Picture winner in the Heat of the Night.
That was the
All
same
in
year.
the same year.
Jesus.
Yeah. Taking into consideration a black actor in Hollywood at the
Yes.
time, how famous he was, and he has these 3 films all released in 1967. I was like, number 1 for me. It was an easy number 1
That's
for me.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That's good research. So when I had COVID, last year or something like that, and it was like, okay,
I
my
saw
goal
you bought it, I
was
think,
like, I'm gonna watch movies I haven't seen before, like classics.
Yeah.
I think it was like Chinatown.
Yep.
All the President's Men. I forget some of those, but In the Heat of the Night.
So good.
Holy cow.
Yep.
When he slaps that cop, I literally was like, oh God.
Yeah.
From the time and place,
So
and
good.
like he's so good.
Folks, anyone listening, if you're not watching old movies, you got to go back.
I was like, that was.
You got to go back. All the President's Men's another good example of a great
so
classic
good.
movie. I just watched 12 Angry Men again recently. Like, come on.
That's
you
good.
Just got good.
That's so fantastic.
Anyway.
Number one for me actually was Jim Carrey.
Oh, okay.
In 94.
Sure. Yep.
Because we're watching some of them again this year, as well as just the 3 movies he did.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible.
All-timers.
What he did. So that was number one for me.
I thought ScarJo would have been up there. She had Avengers. You could have easily gotten there around your Marriage Story.
I didn't even think about Endgame, actually. Even though I just watched it with the kids. But
yeah. Well, you're off tonight.
Dang
so.
it.
Yeah. You're off.
Listen, I had to watch The Notebook. Sorry, just kidding.
I had to.
I'm actually glad we did. But anyway, sorry.
Sure. As mentioned, we are going to be discussing our recent rewatch of The Notebook.
Oh, good for
The movie is a laugh out loud riot that will have you rolling in the aisles.
I almost spit my beer out, man.
I was waiting.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
The film centers around the love story between Noah and Allie. It is told through the lens of an older man named Duke, who is in a nursing home reading from a notebook to an older Allie suffering from dementia. Or Alzheimer's, I guess we don't know, but one of the, yep.
It's interchangeable.
We are unsure if these two are Noah and Allie for sure, though, because as with most tragic love stories, Noah and Allie separate, and Allie finds another love in a wounded soldier named Lon. This is a true romance, and they make no apologies for it. And I was happy to watch it alone in my living room.
You texted me, you're like, I can't believe
I'm doing this. I've watched the movie before. I do cry in this movie. We'll get to that later. I'm not arguing that. I just didn't feel the need to watch it this year. The film is directed by Nick Cassavetes, adapted from the Nicholas Sparks novel by Jeremy Levine and Jan Sardi, or could be Jan. It's Jan. Could be Jan. Could be two men. And stars Ryan Gosling, Rachel McAdams, James Garner, Gina Rowlands, Sam Shepard, Joan Allen, and James Marsden. Tim's lover.
I love him.
I will die on that hill.
I would have chosen him.
Yep.
Come on, not my beer.
With our reactions and verdicts to the movie out of the way, we move on to the reactions to our beers that we drank while rewatching our subject movie.
And if you want to have sex with a disgusting bad brewer with a terrible attitude,
this is where we take a look back at our beers and give our expert ratings for our drinking buddies.
ugh, whatever. Hey, here's the truth.
This is Drinking Buddies.
Let's get weird.
As usual, we watch these movies separately. So while we do talk about 4 beers, these are 2 for each of us and a 5th that we are having now. I'll go first.
Okay.
Out of Decorah, Iowa, or Decorah. Toppling Goliath Brewing Company. They have a new haze called Radiant Haze, hazy IPA. I had no idea that it was out, and it's 4.5% ABV, so it's a nice, chill,
very crushable,
hazy. As with most things Toppling Goliath, the beer is good to great. I really liked it actually. It was a delicious large batch hazy because they are obviously a very large brewery. The price isn't the best, though. So we've had this with other hazies like Sierra Nevada, I think it is, right? Who they release these, really cheap, like to try and undercut people.
Yeah.
Like a 4-pack of the Radiant Haze was like $17 or something like that. And I'm like, you know what? No. I think the 12-pack was $24 or something like that, or $22.
Sure.
That's kind of like, okay. It just didn't, again, the quality was good. It was a good beer. If you see it on tap, like I've seen it on tap suddenly, it's great. But yeah. And then I had a new one, Einstock Beer Company. That's right. Einstock Beer Company out of Stratford, Connecticut. They had a toasted porter, which I forgot to bring tonight. I was going to bring 6% ABV. I had never heard of this company. And if this beer is any example of their quality, I am all in on trying more. I had 4 out of 5. That doesn't mean my rating was like 5 or anything like that. But very solid coffee porter, just a hint of chocolate. It does say it's like got some chocolate in it. But yeah, I was like, all right, Einstock Brewing Company.
Einstock.
Yep.
Cool. I like trying new stuff. I had 3 Floyds, Brewing out of, again, Illinois somewhere.
Chicago's not a hard city to remember, too.
That's right. That's one. Chicago. Backmasking Oatmeal Stout.
Yeah.
Which came in a multi-pack that I was working my way through, and I had not had it before, and it was very good.
Yeah.
I find it to be
is outstanding.
like, I'm very impressed with the stuff they put out.
Yeah.
4.25 for me. It was solid, a great, solid oatmeal stout.
Yep.
And then I had, again, speaking of multi-pack, Stone, they have a delicious multi-pack of their gluten-reduced. They have a double version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap, dude. It's fantastic.
Really? Nice.
4.5.
They only release it in a freaking
Exactly.
mixed pack.
If you could put it in the regular pack, I would buy it exclusively. It's fantastic. Wonderful double IPA. So, highly recommend if you can get it.
And what are we having?
New Glarus out of Wisconsin. Their milk chocolate stout. They have some of these kind of like smaller batch options here. My favorite thing is reading the label, and it says, best served at 48 degrees Fahrenheit. Which really? I love brewers. Yeah, it does. I'm not making that up. Yeah, it's like, oh, sorry, Steve, if I've misserved it at 49 degrees. What? Yeah, it's like the second to last sentence or something like that. It's just ridiculous.
That's absurd.
So it's a milk chocolate stout. I like this. I'd say it's probably like a 3.75, 4 for me as we're working through it. Like, it's not too much chocolate, which I like.
Right.
But it's almost not enough.
Yeah, this would be about how much was in that Einstock beer.
Yeah,
yep.
It's solid. I mean, New Glarus like rarely makes crap.
No.
But it's good.
Yeah, I have 4 out of 5. Yep. I mean, again, the night's been dog shit for beer, so this is just better than...
yeah, it's going to work.
Been better, so...
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
This is a social network.
You don't have to be an intellectual property expert to understand the difference between right and wrong.
Where we take a look back at the critical and fan reception from 2 decades ago.
Mark!
As usual, Tim takes point on this, so take it away, Tim.
You better lawyer up, asshole, because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything. $1 billion.
The IMDb rating is surprisingly high for what I thought it might be.
Oh, not me. I would have guessed this was higher than Harry Potter if you had put me like
almost exactly the same. It's 7.8.
Yeah, that's
out of 10. And I was like, okay.
Bunch of guys trying to impress the girlfriend, looking over their shoulder, like, what are you going to rate it? What are you going to rate it?
9 stars.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they're out there underrating all the DC films just to get back at
the
them.
Marvels is terrible.
Actually, I forgot to mention, I watched that. That was actually really solid.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus.
Right? Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, off topic.
Desson Thompson of the Washington Post said the Notebook may be 100% sap, but the film's spirit is anything but cloying, thanks to persuasive performances, most notably from Rachel McAdams. Moira MacDonald of not something Irish, but the Seattle Times. I was hoping like the Boston Globe or something. It's all sweet and gooey and absolutely predictable in a bland TV movie sort of way, with an ending so shameless it should come with an apology. And then Roger Ebert. Care to guess what you gave out of it?
I'm going to say 3. I'll say 3.
3.5 out of 4. Nice guess. Lord. I know. I was like, what? But said same as Prince of Azkaban. The performances are suited to the material, respecting the passion at the beginning and the sentiment at the end. Gosling has already been identified as one of the best actors of a generation, and Garner is an actor so confident and sure he makes the difficult look easy. McAdams shows such beauty and clarity that we realize once again how actors are blessed by good material, and Roland finds a quiet vulnerability that is luminous. The Notebook is a sentimental fantasy, but such fantasies are not harmful. We tell ourselves stories every day to make life more bearable. Here is a story that is a tearjerker, it's just that it's a good one. And the Academy Awards that year, no nomination.
I like how he said good material.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
No.
You can like this movie, don't get me wrong, but don't tell me this is good material.
She elevates the material.
Yes, exactly. Enough of this.
I'm a bird, Steve.
You want to be a bird with me? Which is all well and good because it starts with birds, right? It starts with birds at the beginning with fake-ass looking birds. I get it.
Yeah, I get it.
Oh, my God. We begin our discussion with our reaction segment that we call Spotlight.
This is Boston, and the church does not want them to be found. So, they are not there.
This is where we highlight and discuss our top takeaways of any kind from rewatching our subject film.
We've got two stories here. We've got a story about degenerate clergy, and we've got a story about a bunch of lawyers turning child abuse into a cottage industry.
If there were 90 of these bastards, people would know.
Maybe they do.
This is Spotlight.
They knew, and they let it happen.
Do you want to go first?
Well, I just think like it's funny to kind of recap the premise of when we were planning for these movies this year.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know that I want to, but I feel like we need to.
Yeah,
well,
get
especially
your
because
reasoning.
2004 is a shit year for movies.
Yeah.
So it's like, alrighty. And it's a cultural impact movie. I think you might appreciate this. So when we were texting about like, oh my God, I can't believe you got to watch this. Like, you're like, oh, by myself. I was like, hey, Ellen, do you want to watch
I could
this?
at least impress a girl.
Right?
Ugh.
Sorry. Bad timing.
Yeah, well.
But I was like, Ellen.
Mom was out of town.
hey, Mom.
Mom, you want to watch a Notebook with me?
Yeah, it's okay.
I do.
Although to that point, I remember when she had seen this right around the time and said to me, you know, you kind of remind me of Ryan Gosling. And I was like, you might be going blind, Mom.
Yeah.
That's kind.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, come on. But
Anyway,
that being said,
you
got
were
the kids to
Ellen.
bed, and I was like, all right, 9:00, Ellen, we'll watch it Wednesday and Thursday. We'll split the nights, whatever. We sat through the entire thing. Because it was like, okay, we've come this far, let's go through it. My favorite part was we're watching it, and she looks at me about the halfway through, and she's like, so confused, like, how did I love this movie so much when it came out? And I was like, wow, okay.
Wow.
Like, so
All right.
I like that as a starting point
where
of
we go here.
Okay.
All right. I'm not gonna crap. I'm not gonna crap on this movie.
I'm not
going to.
I'm not either, because when
I'm gonna love on it. But
when I was watching it, I was confident. I know the high points. Clearly, like the story of the like the device to be a storytelling, like to make her remember stuff. But I honestly was like, I don't remember any of the like granular stuff outside of really like meme type stuff. Like, what do you want? And that kind of thing. So overall, I can definitely see why it has the appeal it does.
Sure.
By no means what I considered a classic.
No.
But it does have a lot of great parts intermingled with a lot of really dumb stuff.
Yeah.
So I put my notes in like the good and then the bad.
Yeah.
So not only to dictate how we talk through it, but that's kind of how I was like put my notes together afterwards.
Yeah.
So what say you, Steve?
I just don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, it is what it is. This is not. It's an unimpressive film across the board.
Yes.
Film. There are things about it that are great.
Correct.
I'll just go into my first takeaway because it's the best part of it. I know sometimes we wait for it or whatever. Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams are a great pair in this. They work together in terms of the actors are both good. They're both believable. McAdams is really good in this.
She's really good.
And I think Gosling is as well. And I think like with, very subpar material, they make me believe their love story. And apparently they didn't get along initially on set. They ended up dating for a while after this or whatever, but apparently Cassavetes had to put them in a room together and basically let them hash it out. Like literally just like be like, get this shit off your chest. Like we have to work on this. And eventually they obviously got past that. I have no, like, I think Gosling still oozes confidence way back then. He didn't remember the Titans in 2000. Like the dude just has that ability. And she comes out and is this confident Southern woman who's just not taking shit from anybody.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the pair of them are a really good combination for me. That was, as I was watching it, I was like, I'm relatively bored whenever they're not on screen.
Sure.
So I was like, all right, that's good. I mean, they're good. So that obviously is my first takeaway.
Oddly enough, I found Ryan Gosling really boring.
You're boring.
And here's why I'm okay with it. Because if I follow the premise of the story being told from Noah's perspective, again, spoiler, Duke is Noah.
Is he?
Okay, come on. We'll talk through that. Yep. But if the premise is the story is from his perspective, his reflection in that story would be subdued.
And it would be
like
very powerful for her.
And she'd be much more outgoing. Right. And like, so that's where I was like, as I was watching it, going through it, I found him to be like a bump on a log at times, still charismatic.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, I thought Gosling was gonna be like, you know, knocking my socks off. And I was like, yeah, you're fine. Okay. Like the stupid oh, I'm gonna jump up on the Ferris wheel, like the meet cute, and like that. I was like, okay, this is so stupid. But again, what works for me, and why I'm saying this,
I kind of like the stereotypical first 20 minutes of that sort of classic little love story from the 50s or the 30s. At that point. But
but not that. That's what works for me from a narrative device in this, is that it is a means of the story being told by him to his wife to try and elicit strong reactions. So these triggering mechanisms aren't just, oh, look at me as a, suitor in this. It is, look how amazing you were.
Mm-hmm.
That works for me. So I was okay with it enough. Rachel McAdams is a freaking star in this.
Yeah.
She is compelling, wonderful. And what she does actually from the 17-year-old and the 24-year-old feels different.
Yeah, she definitely feels like she aged.
Like the 17-year-old feels like that lived in late teenager experience. To me, Gosling never felt different at all, outside of a beard.
Well, he did lose 20 pounds. They filmed the later stuff first.
I heard it was like, backwards. But
I'm just saying.
He's just, to me, and I don't know that I have a problem with him from a performance standpoint.
Right.
It's just, I think how it's written is he's really boring. Noah is not compelling at all. But even in the lawn care, no, the other guy's not great. For me, what actually was surprising was James Garner.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I've seen much of his stuff outside of like maybe Maverick.
Love that movie.
Oh, so good. But he is so fantastic in this as the storyteller. He's charming. He's interesting. And I just loved what he did. I think Ebert talked about how he's so effortless.
Yep.
That's what was like, this guy is a freaking legend.
Yep.
And this movie shows why.
He just steps in. Yep.
And he kicks out of the park.
Yeah.
Or hits out of the park, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sports ball.
If you can kick it, that's great. But he's so good and really heartbreaking at the end with some of the scenes. Like, he does it so well. And so I was surprised. I mean, and Roland, the older woman, she does her part. Like, she's fine.
Yeah. Yep.
But to me, I was like, man, Gosling, you were underwhelming. But it helped because Garner was so good at the older version for me.
Sure.
So,
I mean, I'll tell you, if I could have any voice aside from maybe Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Maybe. And even then, I think I would still choose James Garner's voice.
It's really
like great. Morgan Freeman is a powerful voice. I think James Garner is a sexy voice.
Yeah.
It is just like, hello, good sir.
Read me
like,
this notebook
hello.
all day.
I don't. Yeah, read me whatever you want.
Yes.
Yep. Garner. I mean, yeah, it's James Garner. I mean, I think so there was a point too, especially because of he was a TV actor, and for a long time, I think there was this sort of like, our generation really didn't know him before this. I mean, I knew Maverick and stuff like that, but Maverick was our TV show on our parents' age, and even a little before. So yeah, he's awesome. I would say James Marsden was fine as Lon. The character wasn't much.
He was there to be there.
Yeah, but I like that they made Lon a good man.
Correct.
Like, he was actually you could see how she would fall for him.
Yes.
You could, it makes a big difference in this movie. If he was this a-hole that she was just set up with by her parents and she was trying to please them, it'd be so like stereotypical and gross. Say what you will about Pearl Harbor, and we said a whole lot about that similar idea. You could see how she fell in love with both of them.
Yes.
Like, I could see that in this.
Yes.
And so Marsden himself we always love him. I get that. But I really like that they made Lon, if she had chosen him, he'd be like, you know what? Okay, I can't fault you for that. Like, he's a good man.
Yes.
He's also apparently really rich. So, I mean, like, if you're into that sort of thing. So I really like that about this movie, that at no point, like, because you're meant to hate her parents.
True.
You're meant to hate the people trying to keep them apart. Lon just wants to love her.
Yes.
Like, so I just like, that's why I'm kind of like, you don't like the people you're supposed to not like in this movie.
I agree. And what is the core for what I think works in this movie, like one of the like good parts, is there's a decency throughout these aspects that don't feel forced. Or, I mean, we've talked a long time in different, much more romantic comedies, other stuff, where it's like, I cannot stand those movies that use like some kind of misunderstanding or deceit as like a means to an end for sustaining an hour of romantic tension, and then the shoe drops.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, we crashed a wedding. I'm still decent as a human being. Please love me.
Speaking of Rachel McAdams.
Rachel McAdams,
yeah.
exactly. But I love, and I think we'll even more wax product much more in the next episode with Eternal Sunshine, of I love these kind of movies where it feels authentic.
Yeah.
There's movie aspects. And again, I'm okay with it because it's a narrative device from a storytelling.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I can work with it. It doesn't feel like it's just a movie shit. But it's what great about this is I agree that tension between who she might choose is earned.
Yeah.
It isn't just like, oh, I'm a piece of shit bad guy. Again, Wedding Crashers. Freaking Bradley Cooper's character is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, no, like it's easy.
Easy choice.
Easy choice.
Yes.
This is what works for this. And I agree that the hatred of sorts is from the parental pressure of what might that choice be like. So yeah, I think I actually do like that too.
It works from even a memory standpoint. If she, as an older Allie saw, like, she even has to be like, I don't know who I would choose in this scenario. I don't know who, because like if he were this a-hole, it'd be like, why am I even hearing this story? Go and hang out with that dude.
Yes.
Like, she wouldn't even fight to make that decision and potentially come back from this.
That's very true.
I will, like, again, there are legitimate parts of this that you can get to that are like, oh, that's actually really kind of an interesting little sub part. And maybe that's a part of the book. I don't know. But I just, yeah.
Yep. So for me, a lesser movie would have ended it after the dinner recognition scene.
Absolutely.
Where they would have said, we have our happy ending.
Yep.
Go forth as an audience member, live that lovely life and enjoy it.
Yep.
And that's what I really respect about this movie.
Yeah.
Is that they went like 10, 15 minutes beyond that.
Yep.
And it's really heartbreaking.
Yep.
When she goes away.
She loses it. Yep.
It's so awful to watch. And I value that, where this movie really like has that, again, authentic, grounded feeling where it's not all wonderful like roses. And that's, I think, what really stood out to me, where it didn't have the cop out. Thanks. So knowing, and I truly forgot that was the ending.
Yeah.
The last 10 minutes. I was like, oh, she's going to remember. And great. I completely forgot the awfulness of the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
The bittersweet stuff of it. But yeah, I really, really appreciate that they didn't cop out the story of like really what the like grappling with she's dying because of this. So,
yeah, and that's it gets me every time when I do watch this movie, and I have watched it a few times. When she does remember, it does get me every time.
Yeah,
and especially because Garner is like, I worked this, and like he does, like both of them do a really good job there. And then you do have an earned ending like that. Either way, it would have been earned, but I do feel like the happy ending is actually the worst option from a movie making standpoint.
Yeah, it doesn't
I don't know. It doesn't hit the same way.
It'd be a lesser movie to me.
And you do get
like,
both.
Oh.
You get the happy ending because you know that in the past, potentially, I'm going to keep saying this, Noah and Allie are living their best life, and then you see what happens in the end. That's what's really good.
Yep.
I mean, someone had to get a staph infection from having sex in a old ass house the first time, right? Like, I know they didn't really, but they were pretty, like.
Do you think he was reading that to her in the nursing home? Like I said to Ellen, I'm like, is he just reading reading erotic fiction?
Yeah, exactly.
Or I guess like truth to her?
This is like How I Met Your Mother, right?
Yeah,
like,
I was
you're
like,
telling this to your kids?
I know. I was like, how explicit is he being in this like public space with her?
As dry as a sponge.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, as well as I love the fact that it's a memory, and her reaction is like, I never knew it could be like this. Don't you be like that, man. You know you'd be like, give me a few minutes and I'll be fine. It definitely was too grandiose for his efforts, but fine. Yes, I agree.
It works. It's fine. Anyway, I think I have one more thing, but I'm sure you're bad coming here.
I have a few things that are bad.
What do you got? I will riff off of them.
So from the point before where, you're made to hate the mother.
Yes.
Because of the story device and that kind of thing. I actually don't think that her similar youthful summer fling is in any way needed.
No.
As I was watching, I'm like, wait, hold up here. Like, the message is she's hoping to force, or at least put her thumb on the scale of Lon is the guy you want.
Yeah.
Why would you go to this, like, guy's working some, menial job and clearly still have affection for him?
Yeah.
And pine after, like, oh, what it could have been, as opposed to showing me, like, see this guy? This was how terrible it could have been. As well as weird to tell your daughter, if this would have happened, you wouldn't have been here.
Yeah.
Like that whole device, I was like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah. And what do you think is the end game here? Now your daughter sees that you're still
hung
in
up
love
on it.
with this person.
Exactly.
So now I'm going to go with that person.
I was like,
Right.
I get this, the whole like trying to, it would have been fine if she was confronted with, you got rid of the letters, and she'd be like, you're damn right I did. Like,
Yeah, I
hate
agree.
me for all you want,
Yeah.
but you'll appreciate it later in life. I'd be okay with that. But the attempt to like humanize it,
Yeah.
I was like,
No,
as
she's
well
a
as
stone cold bitch for almost the whole way through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was so stupid. I was like, I don't understand this like what if scenario that in no way has any kind of connection to the storytelling device of you're my wife and I'm trying to connect us again.
Right.
I was like, ugh, this is stupid. As well as tied to that, there's no freaking way that mother keeps those letters.
No. I was like, what?
What are you doing?
Yes. And then you bring them.
It was like, you're gonna just prime her like excitement of like, yes, I messed this up for you and here's the evidence of it. What do you think she's gonna do?
Yeah. Yep.
I was like, again, great things in the movie and then stupid stuff.
Absolutely.
Where I was like, this is so undermining your entire effort.
Yep.
If that's what you want to do, you're a terrible strategist.
Yep.
If this is what you want to do, as well as, again, forgive the additional rants.
Good.
What is
Good
up
time.
with the adult kids that come to visit? So again, we have not felt it personally
Yeah.
in terms of that, like
Yep.
watching a parent waste away from dementia.
Yep.
And I get how they handled the adult kids interacting with her as like, we are meeting you for the first time.
Yep.
They probably have been doing that because they don't want to upset her kind. But then Allie leaves to go take a nap and they're like dicks to him.
Yeah.
It's just like, what are you doing, Dad?
Yeah.
Like, leave her alone. Like, it's your mom. And you're just like, cast her out. She's done.
Yeah.
As well as he's like, clearly he's dying of something.
Yeah. He had multiple heart attacks.
Yeah. And like, he's got like, he get the checks or whatever. So he's kind of hinting like, I'm done too, but I want to be here with my sweetheart. And then it's like, no, forget her. Come hang out with us. I was like, what?
Yeah. Selfishly. Like,
awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, there was such a, again, I'm okay with them being dispassionate when she's there
Mm-hmm.
because of being sensitive to maybe not triggering her. But then when she leaves, they're, again, still dicks to him. I was like, all those elements, I loved actually the older, it's too, like the story, like their pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
But once he introduced, again, the kids, I was like, they could have done without it. I get, it's like, yes, they clearly had a good life, had kids, but I was like, these kids are assholes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, ugh, you're gross.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are some of my rants of like unpacking it afterwards. Be like, these really, again, I will die on that hill. I get
Yeah.
the Ferris wheel at the beginning. It's nice, cute. 1940s.
Oh, the ice cream in the face, all that stuff.
It's a cute
It's a
thing.
sweet little thing.
Although for some reason, both Ellen and I, when he said June 6th, 1940, as like the day they met or whatever, heard 1946.
Oh.
So when he goes to war in World War II, we're both like, wait, what? Hold up.
Yeah.
So we had to go back to the beginning, like, oh, for some reason, the July 6th connected to the 1946.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, please don't tell me this movie has that shitty of a narrative device where they dismissed the whole fact of World War II's done. But whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, and that the World War II is so just sort of like a throwaway thing just to kill off the character.
Kill off Finn. Yeah.
Like, okay,
thanks, buddy.
Yeah, sorry.
But it's never referenced later that he was a war vet, which again, most people were at the time. But still, I was like, I agree. It was such a shoehorned, like, hey, here's a war sequence. See ya.
So there's a fan theory out there that I kind of like, and that is that Duke is purposely named Duke so that he wouldn't be one of the two characters. Like he goes by Duke there, knowing, and so he's actually reading Noah's journals to her from a notebook, but it's actually Lon because the only way he can get her to come back and that's why they offer up 2 happy endings. Lon gets his happy ending. That's a brief moment where she comes back and then it's like there, and she's like, no, that's not right. And then it clicks in, right? Like it felt wrong. So I love that idea, because even then the family or whatever, like maybe just the girl is her, her daughter, and maybe the other ones, and maybe they're all just trying to help him out. Like maybe just the girl says mom's not here anymore or whatever, but the other ones are
it's a different dad.
Yeah, like whatever. There's this whole sub theory of the only way she can come back is when she remembers Noah, because that passionate love is the thing that brings her back, not the 30 years of whatever. It's or 40 whatever years. But like, I love that idea, and that's why they put it in. That's why you get both happy endings, kind of a thing. And I'm like, I gotta like that.
I think
that's why he's Duke. Why is he Duke? Well, he is Duke because if he introduced himself as Noah, then he obviously knows. So I get that part, but then kind of like,
I think I remember the time hearing that somewhere, that there was like this like theory of, yes, Lon would use as a device that he loves her so much, but where she's at in her life, that's the only way to have some type of romantic connection is to live this lie.
Yeah.
I remember that. And I was like thinking that watching it, be like, oh God, it's
dark.
But who am I to judge? Honestly, little final thing.
Yeah.
What I love about this movie, maybe it's a strong word, I appreciate about this movie, is that it takes like a humanistic approach to this of, it isn't just like romantic bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like whatever their life was like outside of our purview was clearly earned. And the romance at the beginning and these elements, and I can't stand the whole like, what do you want? What do you want? I'm really like, I can take or leave it. As well as, side note,
I was like, I've said that many times in a relationship, so it may be connected.
Maybe. But how long was their engagement, Lon and Allie,
right,
that Noah's able to rebuild an entire house?
Mm-hmm.
Were they engaged for, I don't know, 3 years?
I don't know, man. He had nothing else to do.
I was just like,
Dad
okay.
helped him. That's just him.
It was like to that level of like, this is a pristine thing where I'm in the paper. Again, from a timing standpoint, I was like, okay, whatever. But again, I can put this aside because it ultimately was earned.
Yeah.
And so I think the ending, when they both die together, to the reviewer, that's like, it's an apology. I was like, I think you missed the point.
Yeah.
Like, who am I to judge? Like, they lived a life that clearly was wonderful. Let them die. So I was like, I remember reading the review and then watching it, be like, that person was pretty harsh.
Yeah.
But I think it had a earned element to this overall that I appreciated. So, yeah.
I'm going up there, I'm going to try it, I'm going to let the jury decide.
As we close out our spotlight segment, we come to our final takes called The Verdict.
If we are to have faith and justice, we need only to believe in ourselves.
This is where Tim and I give our final verdicts after rewatching the film and decide whether or not the movie held up over the course of 2 decades.
Now you get out of here before I call a bailiff and have you thrown in jail.
This is The Verdict.
I said to hell with it, to hell with it.
Do you want to go first?
Cool. The Notebook strives for poignancy and heartbreak, yet the final result rings both true and false in its overall execution. With a star-making role from McAdams and a career-capping performance from Garner, the movie is elevated at times with real heartbreak and connection, and like I said before, the decency that enhances the story and the romance. But also, for me, is really hampered by dumb plot points and a surprisingly underwhelming performance from Gosling, even though I can see what the story was going for. I can definitely appreciate why it's valued by many, if ultimately I find it really just a passable entry into the romantic genre. 3 out of 5 stars for me.
Wow. There we go.
Yep.
All right. So The Notebook is exactly the film you think it is going to be when you hear about it, when you see it, and is an unapologetic love story. Performances are all good enough to great, and especially in the case of McAdams and Garner. And I think I would not put Gosling as great, but I think he's good. There is nothing great about the movie, and a lot that is less than great.
Yeah.
It's just doesn't hit on the emotional notes until the end. You do get a good delivery in the end. It does pay off in a lot of ways. And it's also not fan servicey. It ends in such a way that is also a payoff for the story. The film as a whole does have some great moments and some heartfelt attempts at love, but as a whole, it falls empty to me.
Yep.
I can see why this is a classic in some people's eyes, but it just isn't for me. I have 2 out of 5.
Nice.
The exciting quiz program 21.
Our final segment of the episode is Quiz Show.
I have stood on the shoulders of life, and I've never gotten down into the dirt to build.
Where in our research for our subject film, we find some interesting trivia nuggets that we hope will stump the other and possibly intrigue you.
This is not McCarthyism. We're not here to expose for the sake of exposure.
This is Quiz Show.
Well, evidently, certain of the contestants were given the answers in advance.
Cheating on a quiz show. It's like plagiarizing a comic strip.
No, I have 3.
Oh, okay. I guess I have 2. One of mine's pretty easy, so I'll have 3. But I will just start with a fun fact.
Ooh.
Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams were born in the exact same hospital in
I
Ontario.
found that too.
Did you see that?
I did.
I was like, that's pretty weird.
I'm like, I can't figure out a question for it.
That's pretty weird.
But I was like, wait.
That's pretty weird.
Same hospital?
All right, I'll start.
That's great.
So I don't even know if I have a picture of him. So, and maybe you, I don't know. So director Nick Cassavetes was an actor throughout the 80s and 90s and was actually more of a stereotypical bad guy because he's a bigger dude. I don't know if you've ever seen him.
I've never seen him.
Okay, and I'll have to find a picture
I
of him
can
then.
pull him up here as you're talking.
Well, no, don't, because you might answer my question.
Oh,
so
okay.
He would direct relatively romantic or basic films such as John Q, My Sister's Keeper, or The Other Woman. For those of us 90s action fans, he is actually more well known, if you see him, as Dietrich Hassler in what? 1997 all-time classic movie.
I don't know why I know this.
Yeah.
But it's Face Off.
Correct.
Because he's the guy that like talks to me is like, it looks like you effed your mother.
Yeah, and he's bald, and then his wife died, he gets shot up or whatever, and that's Nick Cassavetes. And I love that about like him, that whenever he's in movies, he's usually like this drugged up bad guy or this, because he's just a bigger dude. And yeah, he's directing these like romantic or just sort of like feel good movies. And John Q's actually a fine movie, but you're just kind of like, My Sister's Keeper? Yeah.
I don't know why I knew that offhand.
Yeah, I gave you the 97.
Sure, but I was like, as you're talking about action, I'm like, I think he was the guy in Face Off.
Yep.
Oh my God. So good. I love it. So speaking of that director, Nick Cassavetes, he was actually not the first director signed on to the project. Due to rewrites that were delaying the production, the original director had to back out to focus on a very personal film that we covered last year. What 6-time Academy Award nominated writer-director was originally set to direct The Notebook?
I know Spielberg was attached to this at one point too, by the way.
Yes. He had been like a production. He was like, maybe I could do this. But yeah.
We covered a movie from last year.
Late last year. Very personal.
Sheridan?
Jim Sheridan. Yep.
Yeah, good choice, Sheridan.
Right? He's like,
I think he would have done something better with this.
It could be.
Because he had the ability to tell a good story.
Yes.
And if he wrote it, it would have been a different story.
Yep.
Huh, there we go.
That's good.
I have another Nick Cassavetes question, Tim.
Ooh.
He is clearly, by name, the son of John Cassavetes, an Oscar-nominated actor from The Dirty Dozen and Rosemary's Baby, and who is John Cassavetes is also considered to be the father of independent film, or one of them. But Nick Cassavetes is also the son of what Oscar-nominated actress?
Jenna Rollins.
That's right.
Yeah. I think I read it like through like some cursory
Gina Rollins.
Gina Rollins.
Yep.
That's so. I love the fact that it was his mom.
Yeah.
In this, like, really, like, hey, mom.
Yeah, but that's gonna be a little weird, right? Like directing. I mean, I guess in the arts, but you're directing your mom.
Yeah.
Like kissing and romantic with James Garner. Like John Cassavetes was long dead by then, but still.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. Oddly enough, this was James Garner's final prominent film role after having a long and storied career, like we mentioned, with different TV shows and movies. He did receive one Oscar nomination for Best Actor in 1985, co-starring Sally Field
man, I can picture
a film I've never heard of until this week.
Oh man, I can even picture like the movie poster of it. Actually,
Yeah, she's on it. It's like brown,
and he's like leaning.
Yep. I love the fact that you know that. Like, although I just pulled out Nick Cassavetes from Face Off, so weird things happen.
I'm gonna know it. You're gonna tell me I'm gonna know it, and I'm just gonna be like, God damn it, I can picture it. Just say it.
Murphy's Romance. Again, never heard of it till this week. I'm like, he was a Best Actor nominee? Wow.
Yep.
There we go.
He's one of 6 Oscar nominees in this movie.
Rachel Ryan, Gina, Sam Shepard.
That's right.
What's the mom's name? Oh my God.
Gina Rollins.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I mean like the
Joan Allen.
Joan Allen. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 6 Oscar nominees in this, actually.
That's
yeah.
good.
All right, well, that brings us to the end of our happy hour episode on The Notebook. Make sure to go back and listen to our recent episodes on your favorite streaming platforms. Watch out for upcoming episodes on Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and a hopefully fun new concept where we will be discussing the overall films of 1994, because it was a hell of a year.
Yep.
We want to say thank you for taking the time to listen and for clicking that like or subscribe button on your devices. Find us on the internet via the metaverse of Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, and head to 20years4beers.com for all things 20/4. This has been 20 Years 4 Beers. My name is Steve.
I'm Tim.
And thanks for listening.
Thank you. I almost spit my beer out there.
It was waiting.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
And I was happy to watch it alone in my living room.
Sorry, Steve, if I've misserved it at 49 degrees.
It is just like, hello, good sir.
I'm a bird, Steve.
You'll be a bird with me?
Romantic bullshit.